ISD 701 to order. It's March 20th, 2024, 3:30 p.m. Daylight saving time now. I'd like to welcome everybody here. That being said, we'll go to item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you wish.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 3, a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director Martin, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 4, a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Duarte. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 5, and there's no public comment. So with that, item 6, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. We have Mr. Arla here tonight from the City of Hibbing to talk about the Parks and Trail Master Plan. I know you had a big survey that went out recently and talk about those results. So Nick, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Director, Superintendent, and members of the school board. Yeah, so we started a Parks and Trails Master Plan just this last summer. We ended up getting our results and final documents right around September, and now we've been going through it and trying to implement a little plan of attack to go about some of the findings. So with the school district being a major provider of recreation programs and opportunities and facilities to our public, they take into account a lot of that stuff as well. So just some information I want to share with you guys and make sure everybody's aware of the results and how we can work together in the future. So our team with this, we sent out an RFP for a firm to come on board with us, and we ended up choosing Bar Engineering here out of Hibbing. And Pete Carroll and Marcy Bean were the two from Bar Engineering. And then they brought on Ballard King and Associates. They're out of Colorado. They're a recreation specialized company that does feasibility studies, does master planning, things like that. So we have some national exposure and experience with this study. And then Miriam Kiro with Northspan at the time. And she came on board and did a lot of the public engagement and the survey stuff for us. So, and then our city staff as well. So before we even started, we knew there was challenges. We're just dealing with an older system, lack of funding, and with that brings opportunity. So it identified both of those things for us in the process. So much of our park system within the city of Hibbing was developed back in the early 1900s. So it was developed at a time when Hibbing's population was, a lot more, 30,000 plus, and had a city budget probably 10 times more than what we're dealing with now. So it was designed at a much different time, and with that, they established over 33 parks within the city of Hibbing. And right now, that's what we maintain, 33 parks, nearly 2,000 acres of land. And we've never had a plan for it. We've never had a comprehensive assessment done. We haven't had one. We've had a few smaller ones done for individual parks, such as like Carey Lake and things like that, but we haven't had one master plan that's looked at all our trails, all of our ATV, snowmobiles, cross-country ski, in every park in town to make a plan and a capital improvement plan to keep up with things. So that was one of the main challenges we were dealing with, just the mass acreage that we have to deal with. And lastly, we don't have a lot of data. We didn't do a ton of public engagement in the past, so we don't know what the public really wanted in their park system. We've kind of just been more reactionary, and so with this, we're trying to change that and make sure our system reflects the community and what they want. So with that public engagement, we did send out a survey with a host of questions on it. We received over 700 responses. We needed 250 for it to be a statistically valid survey, and we did it here in the schools, and we got students to take it as well. So the amount of response we got for the survey was fabulous. So we got a very good representation of the public. So that was very good to see. We did some small group workshop exercises where we got some associations and stakeholders involved. And then we had some public open meetings where people could come and look at, we had pictures of the park set up on easels, and people could come in, put sticky notes on each park, what they liked about it, what they don't like about that park, what they'd like to see. And that also had very good response with the public. Some of the main highlights, this master plan is a document of 250 plus pages. So I'm just picking out a few of the main ones that kind of were reoccurring in it, but I encourage you guys to take a look. It's on our website if you want to dive in further. But some of the main key themes that came out of this is that Hibbing should take a strategic approach to their planning and focus on quality versus maybe the quantity of parks we have. Take a look at maybe our top 5 to 10 parks instead of all 30, and really focus our improvement and maintenance on those ones that get used the most. And then people just want to be informed. The lack of information or being unfamiliar with our parks. We've been, quite frankly, terrible at that in the past. We have some great assets that people don't have a clue we have. We brought a marketing person on board with the city now to try and hopefully change that, get the message out, and promote some of these assets that the city has. So we're working on that. But the overwhelming theme in the survey is the last one here, is to develop an indoor recreation facility that's open year-round. We've known that, we've heard it since the day I walked in here, that there is a need for it. And it was good to hear it again in the survey that that's what the public wants. So when they went through, they did a park inventory and condition assessment. They did a baseline assessment on every park and trail in the system. And they gave us pages and pages of different ways to prioritize our work, where we concentrate our money and our resources towards. But some of the things too, we're going to have to maybe change up our strategy and how we go about tackling some of these things. They did suggest reduction of the number of parks or reduce overall acreage that requires maintenance. Just because we don't have the budget, we either got A, raise the budget, or B, reduce the maintenance, reduce the number of parks. And there are a handful of parks that that people wouldn't even know are city parks. They're in not very accessible locations, and maybe in somebody's backyard where there is no path for the public to get in there. So some of that stuff we need to look at, and without having a lot of data in the past, it's hard to pinpoint which ones we may reduce, which ones we may not. So we're going to use the next couple of years to really track our expenses and the work we do at these parks, so we have a better idea and some data behind why we're doing what we're doing with some of the parks. And some of it might just be not mowing it quite as often, just to reduce some of that maintenance that we do. So strategy of just focus maintenance time on those parks that are most active and high quality facilities, and reduce that mowing area. So like I said, we're going to take the next couple of years, really develop our data, maybe do a couple mini master plans on some of the parks to identify which parks we may have to reduce a little bit, reduce our scope of work at. And then also next actions are to seek or add an indoor facility in camping, which we are currently doing. We're in final design right now for a campground out of Cary Lake. Hopefully, we'll see where budgets come in at and pricing. Hopefully, we can start doing some work here this fall.
Nick, what are your top 5 parks?
I mean, I would say Mind View, Bennett Park, Vic Power, Cary Lake. Yeah, probably those 4 for sure. Toss up on the other ones. Maple Hill is a big one that's used a lot. So those would probably be the top 5.
And for the ones where you're talking about, let's just say the city does reduce, and I know that you talked about, maybe reducing just the mowing, the
Yep.
maintenance to it, but let's say you just officially close one that is seeable in a neighborhood. Do you know off the top of your head at this point, what would happen to those? But, I'm just thinking, we have a park in King's backyard. It's open to our neighborhood, and I'm just thinking, if that park goes away, the grass isn't kept completely closed, that's a big area, and now becomes kind of an eyesore for the homes that are there.
Right.
What would happen to that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak specifically to that park or which one it is, but yeah, I mean, all that would be looked at. It could possibly go back on the tax rolls and be used for development if the city chooses. That way it could be sold to local or adjacent landowners if people wanted to buy it, things like that. Some of these parks that are less used and maybe looking to get rid of are not the ones that you're probably thinking of. They're pretty tucked back in there, and like I say, a lot of them you wouldn't even hardly know it is a city park or even is city land. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot that goes into that. There's going to be obviously public engagement and neighborhood engagement if something like that were to happen. So, but we just need to really prioritize what we can tackle on our own and what we can't. So.
Thank you.
So Nick, so some of these other parks, I'm just not familiar with all of them, but I feel like the Greenhaven Park, skating rink, whatever it is, that must get used
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah.
Well, that's a fairly new playground.
Yeah, that's a
The skating
very
rink's been there since
big
1954.
playground. But that's a
The school
school
maintains that.
playground.
Yes. But even in the summertime, those ice rinks are used for some of your
Yep.
activities
Yes,
that they
for sure.
play inside of the arena there.
Yep.
So,
One of the pieces of land that we maintain is right across from the Washington School in the ELC, that little triangle right in the middle there, that's parkland. I could see that. If you guys need more parking over there, maybe we work something out.
And I
But-
think about the park that Sarah's referred to, and I'm sure this is true in other neighborhoods as well. That park, that equipment is probably about close to 30 years old. I feel like it's in excellent shape. I feel like the park gets used, and I also understand, with maintenance and mowing the grass, but there's a lot of little kids that use that park, and before the city would abandon something like that, I would hope that they would come to the neighborhoods and just say, hey, if there's a group of parents that are willing to cut the grass,
Yep.
I don't know how much more maintenance, or once in a while throw a load of whatever on the ground, I know we sure would be willing to do our share.
Yeah, and these are just suggestions from them on ways to manage the park. So like I said, we're going to use the next couple of years to really gather the data and make sure, we vet everything properly before any decisions are made. We may not abandon any of them. It's just a suggestion that they had, to help us reduce our scope with the funding that we have.
But I just think
So.
just reaching out to the community and getting the community invested in caring for the resources we have is important.
Also during the process, we did a considerable amount of mapping. The map that is on the screen right there, that's what we were working with before. That was our park map of the city of Hibbing. Not the most high quality thing that we have, so we put a lot of effort into getting quality maps done. They did maps of every park for us. They did everything on GIS as well. They did a GIS layer that we have on our website now where you can zoom in all the parks, gives you the outlines, tells you what's there in that park for amenities and things like that. And then we as a city staff can go in there too and add points, add assets on the map, and the condition of it. We can track condition, man hours, things like that for each park. So we really we're in dire need of that. So that was a great thing that came out of this project. They did a trails assessment for us. The number and use of trails in Hibbing has grown significantly in the last 10 years or so, and we never had a map either that really had a good representation of everything, so we got that done as well. And then they came back with some suggestions on how we can improve connectivity throughout town and to the major parks, taking into account safe routes to school, and just making sure we're leveraging everything that we have and it's working together instead of just being a trail off on its own, leads to nowhere. How can we connect these things together to make it the best trail system we can for the city? So that was done. They also did the same with snowmobile trails and ATV trails that come in and out of town. Are they connecting up with local roads that they can navigate to the local establishments, to the hotels, gas stations, things like that. So they made some recommendations there as well on trails that could be added or improved, and even just like social trails that are used but not officially designated trails, getting them converted over to a city trail designation is also a suggestion of it.
So, Nick, did they say anything? I know I participated in a couple forums about an overpass, underpass, some kind of pass connecting east and west, and like our investment, right? Like the school district, we have invested a significant amount and continue to improve out at the football field at Cheever Field, Bowen Stadium, and I think our students getting back and forth, their community people getting back and forth. I think there's a lot of trails, on the east side of town, and so just for the whole accessibility and bringing the community together, I think we as a community really need to push that safety piece over that highway.
That wasn't specifically addressed in this study, but I know that's been recent talks of that 169 corridor study. I know it's been brought up there a few times, whether it's a overpass or underpass or something, or pedestrian bridge of some sort, but it wasn't specifically addressed in this study. So. Funding. They did a funding analysis for us, and like I said, it was just clear at the onset that funding is insufficient to maintain our existing trails and parks as it sits right now. So they just suggest a few things that we can do to look at that, and one of those is updating our fee structure, rates, contracts, stay current with the market, increase revenues, and stop reliance on the general fund as much. So thinking of alternative ways to fund programs, fund facilities without putting it back on the taxpayers and the general fund specifically. Looking at other local fees or taxes, sales taxes and different levies that they outline. Regional federal grants, we're always going after grants. State, we got $350,000 towards the Kerry Lake project from the DNR, so that was one recently that we were able to secure. But we're always looking at grants locally and regionally to help fund our programs and our operations. And then also looking at non-tax sources, setting up a park foundation of some sort, fundraising, selling naming rights and sponsorships to different things. We do some of that already, but we could probably expand on a few areas. So next, they did a recreation programming and assessment, and this is where it brings in the community education involved in it a little bit. They analyzed the services that we provide, the school district, other clubs and associations in town, and they kind of just did a little matrix there of where we're hitting all the spots and all the program areas. And we're doing a fairly decent job of hitting all the core areas and hitting all the spots, but the quality in some of these areas is maybe not as strong as it should be. It might be just one program in one area. There's not a lot of options. But we can hang our hat on that we're recovering a lot of the area and a lot of major areas. We are missing out on the teens, so that was evident in the assessment and also the social services type of things. So from there, we just need to be able to recognize that there is a greater need for more programming to kind of boost up what we do offer, and then maybe hit a couple of those areas that are being missed. So
Nick, I have to add, because I mean, I'd like to see this accurate, so when people come to our community, teens, I mean, that surprises me because I know our school district has done a lot to create events, evening events outside of just a dance for teens. They've opened up the school, done a lot of great things, from the Blue Jacket Cafe right on down. And for teens, our Boys and Girls Club goes up to 18.
Yep.
So I just think that,
yeah, I know they took into account the Boys and Girls Club. Otherwise, I know they're just going off of what we provided them for our programs, what the community had as far as advertising, and then any other club or association in town that we knew of. We had quite a robust list, but yeah, we could have missed some.
yeah, our school does a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
it's been enhanced over the years for the team, so I think that's really positive stuff going on.
Yeah. So recreation programming continued. The city and school district have a significant number of indoor and outdoor facilities that are able to support a wide range of recreation programs. This is augmented a little bit by some of the other recreation amenities in neighboring communities. There's no formal agreement with you guys on what we offer and what the community ed offers. And that's something that I think Kirk and I can sit down and have a discussion about, because we should. We don't want to duplicate programs. We don't want to compete against each other. We want to work together. So I think that's an easy one. We can check off the list in the coming months, and we can just sit down and talk about our philosophy on what your guys' philosophy is for programming, what ours is, and again, make sure we're hitting all those categories and offering things for all ages. And then, like I said before, the community survey did indicate a low level of satisfaction with recreation programs and also recreation facilities. This, your programming comes along with your facilities, and some of the stuff we don't have the facilities to offer some of the programming that people want. Our community center is the Memorial Building, and it is primarily hockey driven and ice and curling, and it's just we can't offer some of the things that a normal community center provides. We do our best to try and hit the seniors and some of the youth things, but we just don't have some of the amenities that people are looking for. Again, it was designed in the 30s, and it really hasn't changed a heck of a lot in that time. It was designed for a different era where people are seeking different types of recreational opportunities now, so it just doesn't quite jive with what the public wants, and I think that's where the low level of satisfaction may come in. Some more recommendation summary. This is where I kind of say, like, you know, we need to establish our philosophy. What do we want to be when we grow up? What do we want to be in 5 years, 15 years, 20 years? Where do we want our programming to showcase? Where do we want our parks at? So we need to come up with that on our own as a city, which way we want to take this. You know, I don't want this master plan or assessment done and then just sit on the shelf and we don't act on it. So we really need to dive in and do a hard look at how we want to represent the city in the future as far as programming goes. And just establish our clear roles and responsibilities with the school district and ourselves. Again, that's easy to do. I think we can hammer that out in no time and have a plan of attack on how we address some of these issues. And then we can pursue additional contracts with other outside organizations. Maybe we can't offer it, Community Ed can't offer it, but there's probably somebody around town that may be doing it already, we just don't know. Or put the word out that we need help, we're looking for X, Y, and Z, and see if we can get some additional contracts secured with people to fill in some of those gaps we may have. And then lastly, the recommendation for us was the city should complete a feasibility study for a possible community center. And that's actually what we are doing tonight. I have a city council meeting tonight after this, and it was identified last year during our city strategic plan. We did a session with the city council and city staff, and we identified our wants and needs as a staff and a council, and then came together, and the number 3 thing on our list for this year was for the city to conduct a feasibility study for a community center. So we're doing that tonight. I have a proposal for a firm to come on board and start that process. We hopefully will be about a 6-month turnaround on that. There'll be more public engagement opportunities for people, and you know, a heavy look at funding opportunities, and what is it going to take to build it, what is it going to take to operate it, what is it going to staff it. All those questions still need to be answered. So that is where we're moving, the direction we're moving towards here, starting hopefully tomorrow. So it's exciting. I'm excited for it to get the ball rolling on that again. I know there's been attempts and things in the past. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going here and get some answers, at least have the data there to make an informed decision once that feasibility study is done. So, and with that, I mean, I want to invite the school district to come along with us for this, because you guys are equally as important in this as we are. So I know that as I was going through this, a few people have sent me a PowerPoint presentation of, I don't know if you guys had a task force or what, that back in 2019 on athletic facility improvement plan. I don't know if this is in place or not, but I really liked the ideas that were brought up in that plan. And I know you guys have put a heavy investment into Cheever Field and things like that, which is awesome. And some of this slide I thought was great in there, in that presentation, the third bullet, that we'd love to collaborate with the city of Hibbing, or city, other communities, and the legislature as well. So, I mean, we're trying to plan for the future of our recreation facilities. You guys were trying to do that back in 2019. I think we're both doing some cool stuff, and I invite you guys to join me on this too. I don't, if you want to designate somebody or staff or whatever, we would love to have them involved with this going forward. Like I said, this is going to be a 6-month process of doing this feasibility study, a lot of public engagement, and we'd love to have a voice from the school district on board with that if you guys are willing to. So other than that, thank you again. If you guys have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, the full master plan is on, or the Parks and Rec plan is on the website. I can get that to you, I can send it out, otherwise I'll stand for questions.
I think what might be interesting is rather than having one person on this task force, or maybe you do that too, I don't know, but as you're doing your strategic plan, and I'm assuming that your consulting firm will meet with different stakeholders,
Yep.
it might be interesting if they would come to a school board meeting and we could have a conversation as a school board, talking about, you know, our collective vision for the school or the situation or whatever questions they might answer, and that way I think we all bring different perspective. But that, I think that would be a good approach.
I'll say maybe. I don't know exactly, we haven't defined the full scope yet, but yes, we will make sure the school board's voice is heard and we get your guys' opinion, for sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hope we can work with all of them. With that, we'll move to item 7, administrative reports. Anything from the directors?
I have a couple things. You know, I think since the last meeting is music in our schools, that was absolutely amazing. Even like as recent as today, people are still commenting about that. And just all the good things, you know, the one person, and she's not here today, but I really want to commend our principal, Renee Sikora. It's so nice every day, multiple times a day. I don't know how she has time to do it, but the emails that come out, just with all the things that are happening in our school, it's just a nice way to stay connected. And I'm not sure if she feeds the Facebook page, but there's a lot of positive things that come out, and you know, kudos to her. So I appreciate that. And the other thing is just the Washington PTO, and I know it benefits Greenhaven and probably the Early Learning Center, but just the outpouring of our community in response to needing to fill the shelves, that was absolutely amazing. And I just think it's heartwarming when it just demonstrates the care for people and the care they have for other people. So I think that was wonderful. And then before I came here, where I saw that Chaz Wagner took a group from our school to Net Lake, and what they learned there, what an opportunity. So, and last night, the city, our representation, Kirk's representation, and the different groups that were at the community activity event, it was just...
I meant to ask Nick that before he left.
It was good.
But yeah, I was there before when they were setting up and talking to Terry Anderson about it, and I know we had some teachers that had stations there or were presenting there, and I think I talked to a few people with younger children, and they were really looking forward in attending that. So I think it did spark interest.
Very
in a lot of
cool.
things.
Very cool.
And it was nice to see a lot of people from Chisholm there. So, yeah, it's good.
Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move to the student director, Christian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
So this past Thursday, Assistant Principal Mr. Schneider invited me to join a Blue Jacket virtual committee meeting for their planning of the pilot program for the
Excuse me,
upcoming
could
year.
you turn sideways a
Yeah.
little bit so that you're on TV? Thank you.
The primary discussion was for punitive action and disciplinary action through the online courses and how they're going to structure the classes in a little better way. So obviously, the main objective is to avoid anything, close to how COVID operated and to keep things more concise and structured for a proper online class program that's being offered at the school. So I know they are planning right now to release quite a few upper classes, just upper grade classes into the senior year for the pilot program, and they're going to try to open that up to 9 through 12 eventually, once they get more kids interested in all the programming for it. But the committee planning was, I thought, very organized and very well done. They have a lot of open discussion between the members involved on the committee for it, and they were willing to hear my opinions on it and ask any questions. So I'm pretty confident based on what I saw in the programming and the planning that's going into this whole online class preparation. So I would definitely expect it to turn out well for a pilot program. And then additionally, for the board and just anyone, we have the BSU concert tonight at 7:30. So BSU is here with their choirs, and part of concert choir here might be doing a few songs with them, along with Northern Lights will be performing. And then tomorrow on Thursday we have our Music in Our Schools concert. So that's the big choir concert for the spring for the year. But otherwise, that's it.
Thank you, good report, go ahead.
And I need to thank you. I forgot to do that. I got so into that spreadsheet. And part of it is my frustrations because I'm, whatever, I Google Docs, like not my thing, right? Like, but if there's any way that, I'm like, that was amazing. And if I could get like, in a, I don't know if it's Excel or Word or whatever, so I can like, use paper, but that, you did an amazing job. So thank you.
And I don't know that I could share the right edit access with them, Christian, so I know you can save it
Yeah.
in Excel. So I don't know if that's something you want to forward to me and I could forward to the board.
Yeah, I can look at it too and talk to you after about it.
Okay.
Because I had a little problem, like every time I wanted to read each of the cells, like you had to be like right on it.
Right.
And I was like, can I download this?
If it's easier to, I can take the information, I can put it in a more like structured format, so things are easier to read and go through. You don't have to like try to scroll through the cells or anything for it.
If you could do that, that was really good information.
Very good, thank you. With that, we'll move to item B, administrators, and I'll turn it over to Superintendent Rick.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Mr. Bestel and Mrs. McDonald. It looks like Mr. Bestel's first.
Yeah, I guess. Well, she told me I'm going first, I don't argue. Director McLaughlin kind of stole a little bit of my thunder. I wanted to thank the community from BJ and myself. BJ, that organization put out, Washington put out that they needed some more stuff for their shelves. Ours were okay, but we can always use more. Ours are overloaded today. I walked into the workroom and there were boxes, or not boxes, jugs of graham crackers and pretzels that were this big and this round for like every teacher, and we ended up having to bring it all down to the music room to store it because we ran out of space. So that was pretty impressive, like I said, and that's coming from both PJ and I. We appreciate that. Some of the things I did see on social media I kind of scoffed at because our kids need snacks. They're little and they need that every day, and a lot of them don't have it. So when people start talking about obese kids and things like that, feel free to come into my building anytime. I'll walk you around and show you what we're dealing with. And I took that as a slap in the face, to be honest with you, because our kids are our first priority and they need help. And those snacks that people brought in today are going to serve a great purpose. And our kids can't learn if they don't have everything else covered before that. So I think that was, I want to make sure I stress the thank you to the people that did that today. What I want to talk just a little bit about, I'm going to keep it real brief, is today we had the opportunity, BJ and myself, to have all of our next year's staff come into our buildings and have our first kind of early staff meeting with our new group. It was very fun, very enlightening, lots of great questions, and a lot of excitement to get things rolling. I was able to go around and show teachers their rooms. You know, the only worry that my third grade teachers had, and I had to remind them that they've been housed in a middle school the last 30 years, is that the rooms are smaller. How am I going to fit everything in here? I go, well, this is an elementary classroom. That's what needs to get done. So they're going to have to shrink some things down a little bit. I also talked a little bit about how we have a unique opportunity right now in Hibbing, especially I think where I'm at and where BJ's at, to, in a sense, create a new school. I've been in a lot of different schools throughout my career, and every time I went into one, I've had to follow what was done before me. And you can change a few things after you're there for a while, but we're walking in with hundreds of years of experience and sitting down and literally creating a new building. And the excitement when I started talking about that was really overwhelming. And it just goes to planning. It goes to what's the morning going to look like? What's the lunches going to look like? What's recess? What's the after school going to look like? And it was just you know, it was overwhelming in a sense, but it was also extremely exciting because they all want to get involved in that. So one of the first things that we'll be doing is I'm going to be creating some committees, and I know BJ's doing the same thing, of teachers to get together and plan some of those things out. Take a look at what you've done over at Washington or other school you've been in, or Lincoln and at Greenhaven, and what's the great things we've done that have worked. Let's make that what we're doing. And if there's things that haven't worked, don't be afraid to start over, do something different. And also know that we need to change as time goes on, because we're going to hit some bumps along the road, and I explained that to him today, that, you know, I'd like to say we're going to walk into next year and it's going to be rainbows and unicorns all over the place. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to hit some bumps, but in talking with the group I have today, I was very happy that I think they're all going to be willing to pitch in and to help out. The other part of this is preparing for next year. One of the things we have to do, and it's been discussed already with some of the people at the high school that have to do this, is we need to make our classes for next year. In the past, a lot of that has been done by principals. This year we're putting a lot of that on our teachers, because when you start looking at bringing all the second graders to Lincoln as third graders, all the first graders from second grader from Washington, and combining with all of ours, the teachers know the kids way better than we do. So today we had the special ed teachers meet to look at all of their students and their needs and where they think they'd fit best in our building and what teachers. And then within the next few weeks, at another PLC possibly, I will have our regular teachers get together and start making those class lists for us. And so I think in the long run, that's going to be a real positive, and having that ownership that they have, I think it's going to be a big help to us too. So there's a lot of things we have planned. As I said, the morning procedures, the lunch, the after school, nobody until you live through that knows how much work that is. The mornings, as an example, we're going to have about 75 to 80 more kids coming into our building every day. All right, that means 75 to 80 more kids getting through that breakfast line. That means 75 to 80 more kids on the playground. Now, what do we do with the playground? Do we break that down, maybe use the gym? Do we use the library? How do we spread that out? So there is just a whole bunch of things that, that we discussed today. And I think it really got the teachers thinking about, this is a major, major move. But when you get 25 teachers on board and want to really be a part of that, I think that's important. And then I will have another committee besides the morning, noon, and after school committee. I'll have another committee just to deal with all the et cetera stuff. Things like the Sunshine Fund, who's in charge of that? Things like our pop in the lounge, who's in charge of that? And it's just little stuff like that, but when we step into it next year, we want to make sure we have a lot of that prepared. And I know BJ was doing the same thing over with his building today. Derek is planning on setting up a meeting down the road here with his group, because he's working through some things there still with the union and that, about the 7th grade coming down. So, but I think we have a really good step forward. I think the next month and a half are going to be crucial. I will reiterate the strong, direction they'd like us to make sure we take. And again, as long as we don't get hit with a snowstorm that knocks us out for a week, we really need those last 4 days to move and to do some planning. So if that works out, they were really stressing that. They are still their biggest concern, and I told you this before, is how is all my stuff going to get from my room to this room? And so if that's where their biggest concern is, I think we're doing a good job right now. So any questions on that? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't even do a presentation because Director Fulcher falls asleep and now he's not even here today. Okay, so I'm going to just start out with giving an update from each of our 5 academies. So we have 5 academy leads, as you know. Our Performing Arts and Communications Academy lead is Megan Zubich, and this is her update. Many of our performing arts students are working on the spring play currently, Wild Strawberries. A group of students visited the Creativity Film Lab at Minnesota Discovery Center last week. Some students will be taking advantage of film workshops hosted by Minnesota Media Arts School. They have a field trip planned to the Zeitgeist Minnesota Film Festival in Duluth on April 4th. And then they have their ongoing academy projects, which are What's Up Jackets, which is the newsletter, and Anchor Down, which is their weekly podcast. So a lot of exciting things going on in that academy. Our Education and Childcare Academy is run by Jamie Trenberth. She wrote and received a $2,000 grant to take her child development and food students out and about to local businesses and industry. And the things she has planned for these kids are just really, really exciting. So her child development classes are going to be touring the OB unit at the hospital and also local child care facilities. And I'll have to say, it's really exciting that we're getting back into the hospital because we have not been back there for the most part since COVID. So that was a nice partnership. They're going to tour the local child care facilities, and then 4 weeks after that, they'll be doing observations in their child care class. They've got a midwife coming to speak after their birth unit. They'll be given their computerized babies to work with. And then also in that academy, our peer mentors are wrapping up their lessons for third quarter and experiencing what it's like in the spring at an elementary school. So that's our Education and Childcare Academy. Carl Sadness is our Engineering Academy lead. He met with the Engineering Advisory Committee this fall to share kind of progress of the academy and get feedback from them for current and future programming. Carl also participated in the Minnesota State Engineering Center of Excellence webinar, and that one was related to artificial intelligence, which was very interesting. He said it was informative and potentially transformative. Carl also submitted a grant, so the CTE grants that were open to districts, we submitted 3 for Hibbing, and so we received 2 of the 3. Carl unfortunately didn't receive his, but we are going to resubmit for hopefully the next school year. He is going to, this is pretty exciting, he's going to be meeting with UMD computer science faculty this month to look at the possibility of offering a SITS computer science class at Hibbing High School. That would be offered not next year, but the year after. And to the 2 courses that he would be looking to offer would be Introduction to Computer Science and Introduction to Programming. And when you look at those senior banners that are on Facebook and are posted from Hibbing, Chisholm, wherever, but how many kids do you see that say that they want to go into computer science, yet they've never been able to have an opportunity to take a computer science class in the schools, regionally for the most part. So that's an exciting opportunity that will be coming. And then we have the Iron Range Engineering Expo April 5th that all of our students have the opportunity to attend as well. Our Healthcare Academy attended a Discover Healthcare event in November. That academy lead is Jeremy Fleming, and his current med term course, he says, is about halfway through their curriculum. They're currently studying terms that deal with blood and the lymph system. 3 of the students are taking it for SITS classes through Lake Superior College. And of those 3 students, 1 is going into nursing, 1 is going into surgical tech, and 1 is going into dentistry. He feels this class is a really good springboard for those that have an interest in healthcare. Our Buildings and Trades Academy, all 3 of our industrial tech teachers really help support that academy. And it's really a nice partnership. I wrote a grant for Sean Howard, one of the CTE grants, and so we just received word today that we got $5,000 to purchase laptops, PC laptops. I haven't told Jill Anderson yet, so don't say anything. To purchase PC laptops for the advanced welding and woodworking classes, and so the project that we wrote the grant for was to bring in Brent Carey from Cabinets by Design, and he's going to work with the students on project planning. They'll learn how to do that project planning and then utilize the program called Fusion on those PC laptops. And then they'll take their build materials list and their cut list to complete the project. And I learned so much in writing this grant of terminology I had no idea about. So that was very exciting. And Alex Sepula took his welding classes for a tour of Ziegler Cat. Carrie Fox, my assistant, went with them, and she thoroughly enjoyed herself. She is just loving her role and all of the things that she's learning. It's so awesome to see her come to work every day with a huge smile on her face and just excited to learn and do. On the tour, students were given information about an internship program. And so it's so cool to get these kids out to these places and then have them hear about the next step, which could be an internship. You know, they're doing the schooling, they're getting out into the industry and businesses, and then they're finding about internship opportunities. This is what this is supposed to be all about. We already have 3 students actually that have applied to be an intern. He's also working with Hibbing Fabricators on an internship program, L&M Radiator on an internship program, DMR is working with his electronics class and doing a tour of their facility, and then Trison Electronics as well. So just so many things happening. And I have to say, the way that we have things set up this year with the 5 academy leads, I thank Renee Sikora for building that within the schedule. It has been just so instrumental in making sure that we have the experts in the areas that are understanding what needs to happen, and then Carrie and I facilitate the process for the most part, and that is really helpful. And you know, Sean, you want money for laptops? We're going to find you some money for laptops. But it's been a really exciting experience. In addition to the academies, we have 45 work-based learning students this second semester. We had some students that attended the Women in the Workforce event. I have a question for you. The one thing we're struggling with is how to get students to read the information that's put out there, because they're on information overload. So as a parent, as a staff member, as a student, we probably receive 10 parent-student square messages a day. If you have multiple kids, you probably receive 30. And so we're trying to get this information out, for example, about the Women in the Workforce event. It was sent to all parents. And then something was posted on social media, and there was a comment about how, I knew nothing about this. Well, all of this information is getting out to all parents, but how do we get people to understand that, you know, you have to make sure that you're reading this information? Or is there a better route to get the information to the students?
I have an idea,
Go ahead.
and I had this conversation in another place 2 days ago. Because students are on information overload, parents are, I am, right? I feel like within our organization, and I'm just throwing that out there, is there one point of contact? So if Bob has key dates, or if you have key dates, or if Renee has key dates, or if I have key dates, it gets funneled to one person. And as a parent or a student, every day I'm going to get, I mean, obviously if there's an extenuating situation, but I'm going to get one email from the Hibbing School District with important key information for the day or for the next day or whatever we want to do. And students will know they need to really pay attention to that one email, kind of like the principal's announcements in the morning, right? And parents have to be kind of zeroed in on watch for that one communication every day. Because I feel like then you're going to look for that. Hopefully it can be bulleted out, easy reading, and it's all there.
And I would say students, email is
They don't
probably one
look
of
at
the
email.
the last things that, but I understand what you're saying, like email is one of the last things that students will look at. So you've got Schoology, you've got Parent-Student Square, and then you've got email. We have 3 systems of sending information out to everyone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would say for the most part, most of it goes on Student Parent Square. But you're right, like I'm still on the Greenhaven feed, so I get the Greenhaven messages that come out. I get the high school messages. It's just, the only thing that I've found that works for kids right now is if I ask a teacher for 3 minutes of their class time. So, for example, last week, Carrie Fox and I went into all of the junior social studies classes for 5 minutes, and we recruited kids that were interested in Delta. So Delta has an amazing internship program where kids can work 40 hours a week for 8 weeks in the summer, get trained, and they can actually be a Delta employee during their senior year, work 10 hours a week, and then when they graduate, they are a full-time Delta employee. They're offered an employment offer. So like that's the only thing that I've seen, plus food. So we did tell the kids that if they came to the Delta meeting, they were gonna get donuts.
This seems like a Christian question. to me.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm trying to just think how it would be best to administer something like that, because I know with, you know, all the different activities kids are in and different things that are going on, it's hard to get information like clear cut to a student and for them to actually read it, because a lot of that when it's sent through email or Schoology or Power School, that's not Power School, but you know, it's reliant on the student to actually go through and read the information themselves. So the only way to give them direct exposures, like you were saying, going to the classes, unless you set up something in the school where it was more, I guess, like if anything would work with flyers or something like that, if that's an opportunity, or handouts, like actual hard copy handouts that they can get near like the AD's office or the student services office, or just more publicly posted stuff about it, I guess, because I know you guys have done several things to communicate it, but it ultimately just depends on if the students are there at the time, I think. So I guess just direct contact, and I don't have any like specific ideas for that right now, but I can try to think of some things too and let you know.
Thank you. If you think of anything, email me. I know we're still working on getting our screens up and running, and that would be one thing. We could have a rolling screen, but I don't know how many students are going to stop and they're like, oh, let me read through all the screens and see if I catch the information that I care about.
And
But it really is hard.
yeah, the only other thing is if in, you know, morning and afternoon announcements that Mrs. Sikora usually does, or whoever's on
Yep.
the PA system at the time, you could have them include stuff, try just like every day about it, or have some form of handout sheet, and they can just say, come down to the AD's office and grab one of these, and it's just information about everything. Because then you're kind of ensuring that they're getting the information and they're actually going to read it, whereas over online you don't know if they're opening the thing that has the information on it.
And I feel you. I still believe in paper.
It is, I'm gonna say too, I don't know if the school does, or I know I'm trying to think of that broadcast that my nephew Sam does. I feel like teenagers right now, they are all about TikTok. You make it fun, you make it interesting, they go to that for everything. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm just saying that's where they go. I mean, there's kids who don't even know how to use email. I mean, don't even.
Right.
And, but if you make it fun, if it's another student, so I'm saying, you know, on that broadcast, if they're saying it, they get kids to watch them, their group of friends, their
Right.
teammates, and having the kids spread that word of mouth. I'm the same way. I like paper, and I like how community ed does that little quarterly thing. That may not be realistic because you have to have dates far out in advance, and things could change in the meantime. But I feel like a lot of families use that, and it's helpful because they have it for a whole quarter. They can go back, they can look. There are point of contacts on their emails, phone numbers, and whatnot. But I feel as a parent too, the parent square, I don't pay much attention to that. I've actually had to have Jack's counselor, she's actually emailed me because Jack doesn't check, you know, his school student square on things. And I do think you're right. I think if they don't care, they're not going to check it, whether they get a notification, a ding, anything. And I think too at the older students, you know, I think sometimes too, you know, parents are wanting them to be a little bit more responsible, and hey, if you're interested, then this is on you. I'm not here to hold your hand and walk you to this now. And that's, you know, just an insight from a parent.
No, it's a tough thing because I just know, information overload is where we're at, and it's all coming through electronically, and it's just very easy to not pay attention when it's coming through that way. But I do like the idea of, and I would imagine there's something in Parent Square that we could maybe as an admin team start to try to figure out, where we could send out a daily digest, and then as a district, and then you're just getting one thing and you can read the portions. There's a section from each of the schools. Because that would be, I mean, at least then you're only getting one, right?
And that's, I was gonna say, last week or earlier this week, we received a thing from the summer golf programs, and they have a number of things going on this summer. I believe they sent us 4 sheets to put on our Parent Square. So that means Husko sent out 4, BJ sent out 4, I sent out 4, Derek sent out 4. So it's very plausible that one parent has a kid in each one of our buildings, and they got, 4 emails with 4 sheets on each email, and after the first one, they're not looking anymore. And so if there is like anything we can do, I think down the road to have that go out as a district area, in a district area more so, and then have us just put out stuff that we need for our individual buildings. I try to keep everything I do to a minimum on Parent Square because I want them to look at it. But this time of year you can't blame anybody because they're saying we're going to contact each principal to get this information out to the students, and it's the easiest way to do it. So I think there are some things as administrators we can look down and maybe try to figure out a way to shrink that a bit.
We can add that to our admin agenda.
What about like, I'm the wrong one to be saying, but what about like an app? I feel like everybody's got apps for everything.
Parent Square is an app.
Go on an app and see the list of everything for the day.
Yeah.
So
There's some good apps.
one thing to note too, and I'm not sure if the messages are correlated between the two, but the biggest thing, at least for me, that I'm using in my classes right now is the majority of messages with information on them that I'm going to need are coming through Schoology too. And that's a big part of it is because Parent Square, it's very informative and it has a lot of information you can put onto it, but Schoology is also where we go to access our classes and our work on our iPads. So it acts as a bulletin and where our classwork is. So you can guarantee that a student's going to be on Schoology daily where they might not be on Parent Square daily. And I don't know if those messages are sent out to both. I could be...
Not always,
Okay.
no.
So I would almost prioritize Schoology
for
for a
students.
student audience.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why my work-based learning kids say they never see my messages because they're going out on Student Square. Okay, sorry. Few more things. Yesterday I had the opportunity to attend the chamber meeting and got to talk all about the things that are going on in the academy, different academies, and it was a wonderful time to connect. Every one of them got one of the brochures that I left for you. And so I'm hoping that, making those connections, I'm going to be able to provide some more opportunities for each of our academies. Carrie and I have met with Shelley from the chamber twice now in person, and we're just talking about different things that we can work on. So that's been a cool experience. Carrie and I attended what's called an impact training from the Department of Education, and so one of the things that I'm going to bring to the admin team is that I would like to start to establish a pre-K-12 college and career readiness plan, because we actually are supposed to be working on one of those. And I know we do things pre-K-12 for college and career readiness, but we need to have a district plan, and so that's something that Carrie and I would like to start working on. And my thought is, and I have not spoken with Mr. Aldrich about this yet, but I think it would be kind of cool to have a joint committee with Chisholm for the business and industry end of that, because why make these business and industry partners have to attend 2 meetings when for the most part our kids are working at Delta, Chisholm kids are working at Delta, our kids are working at L&M Radiator, so are theirs. So one of those things with that collaboration piece would be able to bring the business and industry people together for both the Hibbing and Chisholm School District, and just not waste their time, right? Last part for the academy, with the registration process that we started in January at the high school, we really wanted to do a relaunch of the career academies, because our academy numbers this fall, when I started, were pretty low. And so I'm really excited to say that we went into the classrooms and we did our cheerleading spiel, and we have 70 kids registered for next year's building and trades, 35 for the education and childcare, 49 for engineering from 16 this year, and we have 101 kids registered for health careers, 20 for performing arts and communications. So most of our academies have either doubled or tripled in size from where they are this year for next year. And that is one of those things that I think will be really nice, having those increased numbers in the academies, because then we're targeting the kids with these opportunities that are really interested. Like the healthcare stuff, it would only go out to those healthcare students, or there'd be a targeted audience there. In addition to that, we are offering a new course next year called called Healthcare Careers, and we have 57 kids registered for that, so we're offering 2 sections of it, and that will be just a really exciting opportunity for our Healthcare Academy. We're also going to be offering next year courses that we were not able to offer this year because we didn't have kids register for them, and now next year we do. So we're offering an industrial tech class next year called Design Architectural. We're offering Intro to Engineering next year, which we were not able to offer this year. We're offering Wildlife Management, and then Anatomy and Physiology will be coming back next year as well. So lots of exciting stuff. 2 quick things with curriculum and professional development. We are still working on our math curriculum purchase for K-5 for next year, and then there's the READ Act. And here's where we're at with the READ Act. We are currently ready to submit that we will be training next year 100 staff, approximately 100 staff, with over 60 hours each of training on the science of reading. And we chose to go with what's called CAREIALL, CAREIALL. There were 3 training options. This one is from the University of Minnesota, and we feel that it aligns really well with what is going to come out of our MTSS audit. And in May, the U of M will be here to present to you on our MTSS audit. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. With that, we'll move back to C, committee reports. Hearing none, we'll move to item 8, administrative business. Turn it over to Sir Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to approve the resolution to accept donations, which consists of $500 from the Evelyn Elks Lodge for Mrs. Delish's classroom, $2,900 from United States Steel to support neck Baber shirts for the girls hockey team, $500 from Detroit Diesel to support Hibbing schools, $2,500 from the Owens Foundation to support boys hockey team, and $2,500 from the Owens Foundation to support the boys basketball team.
So, support.
Moved by Director Martin, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
And item B is a motion to award the bid to Nelson Roofing in the amount of $265,786 for the Lincoln Elementary re-roofing project.
So moved.
Chair will support. Moved by Director Duarte, supported by Chair Berklich. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 9. I'll turn it over to Superintendent Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Yearly, the board has a responsibility to evaluate me yearly. And Marge Martin, when she worked on or served on the board previously, she kind of led that charge and helped the board through my eval, and she shared that she would like to do that again. So Marge, do you want to discuss that or talk through it?
Well, we're a year behind all that.
Excuse me.
And
She has done a good job in the past, so it should automatically you should.
it's what?
I said you did a fine job in the past, so
Okay.
you know what to do.
So part of it is that we set the goals. And one of the goals, the evidence was to do a climate survey. And you look at where we were. We've done the ELC, we've done Cheever Field. This is a good time to do a climate survey. Well, now we're in the middle of a realignment. It's probably not a real good time to do a climate survey. So I think we have to work out some different ways to evaluate ethics and professional behavior, which is one of the goals. And so I think that Superintendent Aldrich and I should work on this a little bit in the next couple of months, and then when school is done in June, we should do the evaluation, and we'll get Trina to send this stuff out, so you have that. And then come together and set goals for the superintendent for the next year. And so we'd be back on track. And I'm willing to facilitate and work with that.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you for that.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else?
I don't have anything else, Mr. Chair.
Well, I'd like to thank the audience for their attendance and a good meeting today, and without any objection, the meeting's adjourned. 3:40, 4:40, whatever time it is.
4:40.
Thank you.